When my grandmother passed, she left me a locked box and whispered they'll try to take everything. Don't trust your uncle. At the will reading, my uncle laughed. Well, we all know who deserves the family money. The lawyer opened the box and pulled out a second will with video footage. The room fell silent. He started screaming. I was 26 when my grandmother passed. I'd been living with her since I was 10. My mom spiraled after my dad left, and after one too many CPS calls, Grandma Mavis stepped in. She was tough as hell, didn't believe in handouts or pity. But she loved me. She raised me like I was her own daughter, paid for my braces, helped me get my GED, even taught me how to balance a checkbook when I got my first job. She owned a big old house in Fairhope, Alabama, passed down through generations. Some of the furniture still had carvings from the 1800s. She had money, not flashy, but steady. Bonds, a retirement account, a property she rented out in Daphne. Everyone in the family knew she had something saved up, and they all wanted a piece, especially my Uncle Rick. Rick was her only other child. He lived 2 hours away in Mobile. He ran a used car lot, always one bad month away from closing. Married and divorced twice, each time losing more than he could afford. The kind of guy who asked to borrow money just until Friday but never paid it back. When Grandma got diagnosed with cancer, he showed up more often but only to ask questions. Not about her health. About her will. Ma, I heard him say one night when he thought I was asleep in the hallway, you got everything squared away, right? I mean, we don't want the courts getting involved. That'd be a mess. She didn't answer. That was the beginning of the end. As the months went on and she got sicker, he started bringing papers. Just to help, he'd say. Power of attorney drafts. A form he claimed was to make paying her bills easier. She'd smile, play along, then hand the papers to me when he left. I'd shred them. She trusted me, not him. 2 days before she died, I was sitting at her bedside. She hadn't eaten in days. Her skin looked like paper. Her voice cracked when she whispered my name. Rachel? I leaned in close. Take this. She reached beneath the sheets and handed me a small metal box. It was cold and heavy, no keyhole, just a letter dial like an old-school lock. Don't open it yet. Bring it to the lawyer when they read the will. And Rachel, I looked at her. Her eyes were clearer than they'd been in weeks. They'll try to take everything. Don't trust your uncle. Not for a second. I nodded. What's in it? You'll know. Those were her last real words. She died the next morning, quietly, right before sunrise. I didn't cry right away. I just sat there, holding the box in my lap, holding the weight of her final secret. The funeral was packed. Everyone from the church came, people she hadn't seen in years. Rick gave a big speech about how selfless Mavis was. He cried fake tears. He brought his latest wife, a woman named Carly who wore a dress way too bright for the occasion, and her 18-year-old daughter who kept checking her phone. I stood off to the side, the box tucked under my coat, watching. Rick never looked at me. 2 weeks later, we gathered at the lawyer's office. A tight room filled with folding chairs and old carpet that smelled like coffee and dust. Rick looked like he'd dressed up just to collect a check, slick suit, gold watch, fake smile. Mr. Delaney, our family's longtime lawyer, opened a folder and cleared his throat. This is the official will of Mavis Darnell, dated January of last year. He read it out loud. The bulk of her estate, house, bank accounts, stocks, was listed as going to her family. Rick was named executor. There were no specific names under the bequests, just generalities. It was vague, confusing. Rick smiled like he'd just won the lottery. Well, we all know who deserves the family money, he said. She always said I'd get the house. I mean, Rachel's a sweet girl, but she's not exactly prepared. I didn't speak. I just reached into my backpack, pulled out the box, and slid it across the desk. Delaney looked at it. His eyebrows lifted. She gave this to you? I nodded. He turned the letter dial, MAVAS. Click. Inside was a flash drive and a sealed envelope marked, Revised Will, March 3rd. Delaney opened it. His face turned serious. Then he inserted the flash drive into his laptop and turned the screen toward us. There she was. Grandma. In her old recliner wrapped in her patchwork quilt. Her voice was stronger in the video than I remembered in her final weeks. If you're watching this, she said, it means I'm gone. And if Rick is in the room, well, hi, sweetheart. Rick gave a weird laugh. The kind people do when they're nervous. I always said you were a born salesman, she continued. You've been trying to sell me on things my whole life. But trying to trick your own mother into signing over her property while she's on morphine? That was low. Even for you. His face twisted. That's not true. This is fake. She went on. This video is part of my revised legal will. The enclosed documents are notarized and witnessed. This supersedes any previous versions. Delaney confirmed it. He opened the paperwork. Everything was in order. Witnessed. Filed. Legit. In this will, she said, everything I own goes to Rachel Darnell. My house, my accounts, my jewelry, the rental property. She's the one who held my hand when I couldn't walk. She fed me when I couldn't eat. And she's the one who didn't ask for anything in return. The room went dead quiet. Rick stood up, voice shaking. She was sick. She didn't know what she was doing. This is coercion. Delaney didn't flinch. It was filed independently. I have the witness's contact info. This is final. Rick exploded. He grabbed a chair and slammed it backward. This is bullsh*T, he yelled. I gave my life to that woman. She promised me. Sit down, Delaney said sharply. Or I'll call security. He sat. But the rage didn't leave his face. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Grandma had already done the talking. For both of us. After the reading, the rest of the family didn't know what to say. Some offered me awkward pats on the back. Others just left in silence. Rick's wife, Carly, looked like she wanted to say something but thought better of it. Rick didn't speak to me at all. He stormed out. Slammed the door so hard the little brass plaque on it fell off. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, I came home to find the front gate wide open. I lived alone in Grandma's house now, still sorting through her things. I'd only just moved her clothes from the master bedroom. The front door was unlocked. When I walked inside, drawers were open. Couch cushions ripped. One of the bedroom windows was broken, glass still scattered on the floor. Nothing major was missing, at least not the TV or laptop. But I checked Grandma's bedroom. Her jewelry box was gone. The one she told me to keep safe. I filed a police report. They said it looked like a targeted burglary. No fingerprints. No forced entry. Someone knew the house and what to take. I knew who it was. But I couldn't prove it. That night, I sat on the porch with a baseball bat in my lap. I didn't sleep. My phone buzzed around 2 a.m. Unknown number. A text. That house should have been mine. I didn't reply. Just saved the number. Then blocked it. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Legal envelope. Rick was filing to contest the will. Undue influence, it said. The deceased was mentally compromised. He was accusing me of manipulating my grandmother while she was sick, of forging documents, of controlling her medicine schedule to isolate her. He hired a lawyer. Some guy from Mobile known for handling messy family cases. The kind who'd drag every skeleton out of every closet. Delaney called me that night. He's throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, he said. Don't panic. We're prepared. But this won't be quick. I could feel it. This was going to get ugly. Over the next month, it got worse. My boss at the pharmacy said someone called to complain about me. Said I stole pills? They launched an internal investigation. I was suspended for a week unpaid. Someone slashed my tires. Twice. My landlord for the rental property in Daphne said a man came by pretending to be the new owner. Gave his name as Richard Darnell. Tried to collect the rent. Then Carly showed up. She knocked on my door one afternoon, sunglasses on, nervously glancing behind her. I shouldn't be here, she said. Rick would lose it if he knew. But I needed to tell you. She looked tired. Like she hadn't slept in days. He's coming undone, she said. He stays up all night talking to lawyers. Drinking. Blaming you. Blaming her. Says he'll get what's his even if he has to burn it all down. She handed me something. A USB stick. He made backups of everything, she said. Emails, voice notes, even a few videos. Some of it's bad. She left before I could ask more. I plugged the stick into my laptop. It was all there. Audio of Rick talking to a nurse at Grandma's clinic, trying to convince her to say Grandma was mentally off during her final weeks. Emails to a lawyer asking how to speed up power of attorney if a parent was barely conscious. A voice memo he recorded one night. Rachel thinks she's smart. But she doesn't know how this game works. She's not blood. Not really. She's just a girl from the trailer my sister left behind. This isn't her legacy, it's mine. He didn't know Carly had copied everything. I sent it all to Delaney. That changed everything. The court hearing was set. Rick didn't back down. His lawyer pushed hard. Claimed Grandma was confused. Claimed I was deeply manipulative. They even pulled my teenage mistakes, shoplifting at 17, a DUI at 20, into the case. Painted me like some unstable leech who latched onto a sick old woman. But Delaney fired back with the video will, the notarized documents. And now, the audio. We had proof Rick tried to manipulate her. Proof he tried to change the legal paperwork behind her back. The judge didn't look impressed by Rick's tantrums or tears. Still, he didn't rule right away. We were told to come back in 2 weeks for the final decision. The night before the decision, someone tried to set my mailbox on fire. It didn't work, just scorched the front yard. But it shook me. I stayed with a friend that night. When I got back in the morning, there was a note under my door. It said, "She chose wrong. Now you both pay." I took the note straight to the police. They filed it under threatening communication but said without a camera or a witness there wasn't much they could do. They advised me to install security cameras and avoid contact with my uncle. Avoiding him wasn't the problem. It was staying ahead of him. That same day I got an email from the property management company for the rental house in Daphne. They were terminating their agreement with me, citing ongoing disputes over ownership and potential legal liability. When I asked what changed, they sent me a scanned letter on fake legal letterhead claiming the will was already overturned and that Rick was the new owner. The letter was signed Richard Darnell, executor. He was impersonating legal authority now. I called Delaney. He was furious. "This is outright fraud," he said. "We're filing a motion for contempt first thing tomorrow. He's going to hang himself with this." But I wasn't celebrating. I could feel it building something darker. Rick wasn't acting like a man trying to win. He was acting like a man who had nothing left to lose. That night, I went through Grandma's old notebooks, just looking for something to calm me down. She used to write everything down: grocery lists, prayer notes, memories. That's when I found the blue ledger. It was tucked behind a Bible in her top drawer. Inside were handwritten notes, dates, amounts, payments. Some to hospitals, others to people I didn't recognize. But one name kept popping up. Travis J. $300 cash yard plus don't tell Rick. Travis J. $500. Helped move old files to Daphne. TJ $200. Rick doesn't know about this. I didn't know a Travis. Not off the top of my head. But the dates lined up with the time she started hiding things from Rick. The same month she started filming the video will. I searched the phone book. Nothing. I tried Facebook. Found a Travis J. Kerr, mid-30s, lived in Daphne, worked in landscaping. I messaged him. He replied almost immediately. "I thought this might come back around," he wrote. "We met at a gas station halfway between Fairhope and Daphne." He pulled up in a rusty Ford truck, cigarette tucked behind one ear. "You Mavis's granddaughter?" I nodded. "She was a good woman," he said. "Smart. Real smart." I asked him what he meant. He said she paid him to help move some files, burn old papers Rick had tried to sneak in, and, most importantly, to install a hidden safe at the Daphne property. She said, "I want to keep something where no one will look. Not even Rachel. Not until she has to." My blood turned cold. "What did she hide?" He shook his head. "Didn't ask. But I can show you where." That evening, I drove to the rental house in Daphne with Travis. He showed me a small crawl space behind the water heater. There was a flat stone panel with 2 bolts holding it in place. Inside, a fireproof bag. Inside that, a stack of papers, a hard drive, and a sealed envelope with my name on it. The envelope said, "Rachel, if Rick's making things worse, this is for backup. Use only if you need to protect yourself." Inside was a full written statement, Grandma detailing everything Rick had done over the years, money he'd taken, forms he'd tried to sneak past her, conversations she overheard. It was all dated and signed. The hard drive? Surveillance footage. From inside her house. Time-stamped clips showing Rick snooping through her drawers. One where he's holding a document reading it out loud, power of attorney for Richard Darnell. Another clip, dated 2 months before she died, shows him slamming his fists on her nightstand. "You owe me, Ma," he said on the tape. "You made me this way. You leave me with nothing and I'll ruin her life." I swear to God. I drove straight to Delaney's house. Not his office. His house. He watched the video 3 times. This, he said quietly, this changes everything. The next court date was in 5 days. I didn't know what Rick would do when he found out what I had. But I was done being scared. Let him burn everything. I had matches too. The morning of the final court date, I didn't sleep. I sat in Grandma's old rocking chair, the safe bag in my lap, the video footage burned into my head. Every word he said, every threat, every moment he thought no one was watching. Let him try to talk his way out of this. The courtroom was half full. A few cousins came to watch. Rick looked worse than ever, unkempt, eyes bloodshot, jaw twitching like he hadn't slept either. His lawyer didn't even greet him. Just sat with a pile of papers and a sigh. Delaney stood first. Your Honor, he said, before we proceed, we'd like to introduce new evidence. Notarized statements from the deceased and digital surveillance footage recorded inside her home, dated 2 months before her death. The judge's eyebrows lifted. Delaney plugged in the drive. We watched in silence. Rick's voice filled the courtroom. You owe me, Ma. You leave me with nothing and I'll ruin her life. I swear to God. The judge didn't say a word for a full minute. Then he turned to Rick. Would you like to explain that? Rick stuttered. That it's edited. She was senile. She told me I'd get the house. She promised me. You lied, I said, finally breaking my silence. You lied to her face. You tried to scam her on her deathbed. And when she didn't hand it over, you came after me. He stood up. She wasn't even your mother. You think you belong in that house? You were a stray my sister dumped off. You don't carry the Darnell blood. His voice cracked. She was all I had. And she left it all to you. I should have let the judge handle it. But I stood too. She was all I had too. And you treated her like a wallet with cancer. The judge ruled. Rick's petition was denied. Not just that. The court declared him legally liable for fraud, harassment, and property interference. He was ordered to pay fines plus attorney fees. It was over, or so I thought. The next day, Rick disappeared. Vanished. No one knew where he went. Carly left him. His car was found 2 weeks later outside a motel in Mississippi. Empty. No note. Nothing. I should have felt safe. Instead, I looked over my shoulder for months. I tried to go back to normal, return to work, manage the house, fix what was broken. But I couldn't stop thinking about what Grandma said. They'll try to take everything. She didn't just mean money. She meant peace. Family. Trust. 6 months later, I got a certified letter. No return address. Inside was a photo. Me walking to my car. Taken from behind a tree. Written on the back in thick black marker, this isn't over. I gave it to the police. They couldn't trace it. Said it might have just been a scare tactic. But I knew. Rick was still out there. And now I was watching him back. That's the cost of revenge. You win, but you never stop looking behind you. And if I'm being honest, I'd still do it all again,